All right. Well, that was boring. Another day of following the mid trend slightly to the upside. Super fun, right? So that ended up about $2 from my mid projection there. Not bad, I suppose. ES pumping a little bit in after hours here. Actually, ES kind of slipped the wedge there. Interesting. Yeah, it kind of looks like it's going to crawl back a little. That's awful. Yields up today. 7 year had a fat tail, 22 points or something like that. Largest since November 22. So Dixie obviously up on that news. Yen moved up a lot earlier today, or moved down a lot earlier today on the news, on the was it reduced oil inventory news. And we saw oil move up, but quickly got slammed right back down. Gold down, silver down, oil down 300 BPS today. Index is largely flat, with Russell taking the biggest hit at 44 BPS to the downside. Spot VIX up, but VIX 3 month and VIX futures both down. Looks like we're in for more of the same bullshit tomorrow. I don't think that's going to change substantially. Core on the 3 month started to turn around a little bit again today, but core 1 month is still plummeting. Yeah, we see them kind of lean back into the carry trade a little bit today with a 7% move to the upside. Now, if they leaned harder into the carry trade, which may be something that happens if expectations for the Fed to cut rates diminish, that'll tighten financial conditions, and we'll start to get that like yields up, dollar up, vol up that we saw from August through October of almost last year now. Skews kind of moderating a little bit, not doing much there. Vol shorting almost hitting a new high today, or a new low. Not quite as bad as the week of December 4th, but almost. So if we do get an uptick in vol, it's massively overshorted and there's a ton of Vega risk. QQQ down on the day. That's kind of interesting. RSP seems to be what floated everything. So still a decent amount of breadth interest coming in, but I would say mega caps are still seeing a fairly consistent sell-off. Yeah, not a very interesting setup for tomorrow, but I guess just a bit closer to that 47 or 4800 goal. Has Upstart peaked for now? Oh yeah, we could take a look at some of the memes. GME still isn't being shorted heavily, but it did come down today a little bit. Upstart is actually Gamma Max is starting to move away from spot and to the upside. Volatility is starting to be a little more heavily shorted here. It looks good for some downside. I want to see it break gamma neutral, which is still gamma neutral here is at 40.54 to confirm downside. But if it does, the move from gamma neutral to delta neutral at 35 could be pretty quick, and that could put us back at 30 in no time. So it can happen really rapidly, as it did before. So the downside may happen far quicker than you would expect. I think the only real defense there against that is going to be if we see some sort of positive expectations for rate cuts or the credit environment. And that might reinforce some of the long positioning on it. But for the most part, yeah, calls are breaking down. Dealer Delta moved negative today. Dealer Gamma is going to have fallen off probably pretty substantially. Gamma Max is now at 50.78, which is getting kind of far away from the current price. So yeah, I think some downside is definitely possible. Siri, it's kind of just holding up. It's holding 550 really well. It doesn't seem to be doing much else though. Tup actually got a little bit of liquidity into the middle of today. There was a few bigger sell-offs, couple like 75,000, 100,000 shares. I don't like that, right? Like that's showing a sign of contraction again. So I close my calls. If I see this turning back around and expanding again, I'll get back in them. But for now, I'm not going to touch it. Very risky, right? Because of the liquidity here, a big short could take us back to like $2 and cause the market maker to price down those calls really fast, and the value in them would just disappear. So I think I'll wait it out, see if I can get some maybe like synthetic long entries at 250. We'll see how far down they short it, but they're still not covering yet, right? Like they covered enough that they could short it again, but they're not covering everything. And I think they have some news about their earnings. There is some news about their earnings. They're going to have their earnings published by Feb, and they're going to have some sort of guidance on their earnings by January 19th. And so it may be that the shorts are just trying to survive until there's further news about their turnaround plans. And if that's the case, this kind of like, intermittent covering and then, using the liquidity they got to short again, like this kind of behavior, they could do that for a while longer, right? As they wait out the news. I mean, that it'll cause price improvement over time, but very little, right? So, it's good to be careful with it. Anything else? Beyond's actually still holding up really well. I mean, they've shorted damn near all of the liquidity they got on the 100% run up, right? So, or well, even if we don't count it from the very bottom, let's say from the point at which they started reversing liquidity, which was about here, 75% run up. So they ran the stock 75%. They got X amount of liquidity out of it, right? And they've used all of that liquidity since December 20th, almost. There's still a little bit left, but not much. And they've barely gotten the price down 26%. So, figure they might be able to squeeze that remaining 8-10% to the downside here with the liquidity that they have left, and then we're going to move into another cycle of covering, and that could get kind of wild. So we'll see what's going on there in probably a couple weeks. In the meantime, look for opportunities to get in cheap while vol's lower and being crushed, if it's something you want exposure to. What's the next decent entry point on the equity stated before beyond? Was that top? Yeah. I don't know when the next decent entry point is. We're going to see how hard they short it, right? They got a little bit more liquidity back over the last couple days, so I figure, that's about the max. They could probably short it back down to like $1.80, maybe $2. That seems to be where they get really hung up on their short anyway. I mean, like 160 to 180 seems to be mostly the range. So I would probably look for a return down, and then look to go long or synthetic long. Last test of 180, I went long the 2, short the 150. That was good. I was like 500% on the move up, so that worked out really well. That might be one to look for if the liquidity's there, or just the $2 call with thetas. Not too bad at that price either. But yeah, it looks like they're going to short it a little, so best to be out, especially if IWM is going to keep turning around. You lose that index pressure. Thank you guys so much. Have a great night, and I will see you bright and early tomorrow. Later.